Hello and welcome to my presentation. Today, I want us to look at the topic, the same-sex marriage. What is the same-sex marriage? Same-sex marriage is the practice of marriage between two men or between two women. Although same-sex marriage has been regulated through law, religion, and custom in most countries of the world, the legal and social responses have ranged from celebration on the other hand to criminalization on the other. So what is the status of same-sex marriages in the world? The issue of same-sex marriage frequently sparks emotional and political clashes between the supporters and the opponents. By the early 21st century, several jurisdictions, both at the national and subnational levels, had legalized same-sex marriage in other jurisdictions. Constitutional measures were adopted to prevent same-sex marriages from being sanctioned, or laws were enacted that refused to recognize such marriages performed elsewhere. That the same act was evaluated so differently by various groups indicates its importance as a social issue in the early 21st century. So same-sex marriage issue is a social issue in the 21st century. It also demonstrates the extent to which cultural diversity persisted both within and among countries. Same-sex or homosexual pairings fall into two categories. These are gay relationships, referring to those between males and lesbians, or female-female relationships. Some societies recognize marriages between individuals of the same sex. Most societies, however, did not approve homosexuality. Indeed, communities viewed homosexuality as perversion or even a psychological problem. These relationships have, however, become visible with contemporary argument that heterosexuality is a social obligation rather than a natural tendency, and the abnormality of homosexuality is a social construction rather than a psychological condition. Now, in this section, I want us to look at how same-sex marriage is viewed by other people as important. All of us are human beings, they say, at the end of the day. Before leveling each other with the religion we follow or the people we choose to love, everyone must realize this fact and act like it. Same-sex marriage is more than important in today's time as the world is progressing. Moreover, people can finally be themselves and own their individuality. Just because someone does not love a person from the opposite sex, it does not make them wrong. They say that we can love anyone we want. In addition, it is better to spend the rest of your life with someone from the same sex you love rather than the opposite sex whom you don't even like. People will obviously lead happy lives with their loved ones rather than being forced to marry someone. Same-sex marriage gives the other people hope that they can also have a future. In addition, it paves a brighter path for the LGBTQ community. This community has greatly suffered enough to discrimination, and they deserve to be able to marry whoever they wish irrespective of gender or sex. Those are the views of people who think that homosexuality is important and their rights should actually be considered. Finally, I want us to look at this issue from the biblical point of view. What does the Bible teach about same-sex practice? The Bible defines marriage in Genesis 2:24 as a union between one man and one woman. Jesus Christ upholds this definition of marriage in Matthew 19:5, and thus the Apostle Paul in Ephesians 5:31, that any and all sexual activity which takes place outside this context is treated as sinful, what Jesus calls sexual immorality, which is found in the book of Mark 7:21. Further to this, same-sex practice is specifically highlighted as sinful a number of times in the scriptures. In God's law, for example, condemnation of same-sex practices are given in the book of Leviticus 18 verse 22 and 20 verse 13, and also in the book of 1 Corinthians 6:9, and the book of Timothy, 1 Timothy chapter 1 verse 10. So from this we can see that the scriptures are therefore consistent in their prohibition of same-sexual activity across different periods of salvation history and within different cultural settings. So that marks the end of this presentation, where we have been discussing about the same-sex marriage. If you like this video, kindly subscribe. You can like or even share it to a friend. Thank you.